Good morning and welcome to Life Without Shakers. Welcome to part 2 of my journey around the northern fells of the Lake District. And today I'm in Mungrisdale. My first objective for the day is Bannerdale Crags, on the way up to Bowscale Fell. And from there I'm going to walk over Mungrisdale Common to one of the crown jewels of Lakeland, Blencathra, before returning to Mungrisdale over south to Fell. And after a couple of extremely long walks, bordering on 20 miles, I'm delighted to say this one's only going to be 11 miles, a nice short one, which I'm greatly looking forward to. And it's possibly going to be a beautiful sunny day. So let's get going. Well, I'm going to be going a couple of minutes and already I was too hot with that fleece on. The other thing to note is I don't really know anything of note about any of the fells I'm walking today, apart from Blencathra, which I've done before, but even that time I walked it from the Keswick side rather from the north side as I'm approaching today. So, exciting journey of discovery. Having to walk along the beach here because it appears that the path that I was supposed to go on just washed away completely. This is the River Glenderamackin I'm following at the moment. Beautiful, I like it. Path wasn't so narrow and boggy. It's rare to say this, but this bit where I start climbing the hill couldn't come soon enough. That path was ridiculously boggy along the river. In places there were 3 or 4 alternative paths that people had carved trying to avoid the boggy bits. Sadly, this subsidiary ridge isn't Bannerdale Crags. I'm going to go up that sharp ridge there to the summit of the main ridge. Now I'm about to climb up Bannerdale Crags via White Horse Bent, according to Wainwrights. And apparently, just there is the famous sharp edge. From this angle. Well, clearly the path is made up of lots of pieces of loose slate, but I didn't actually expect to see a man-made structure halfway up this seemingly impassable ridge. You can see why it was built though. Take advantage of this spectacular view. Phew, I made it to the top of the climb. A bit tough in places. Looking forward to some nice gentle fell walking for the next few miles. Now, rather than that grandiose cairn down there, this pitiful pile of stones is actually the summit of Bannerdale Crags apparently. 2,230 feet approximately. This is Wainwright number 8 of the Northern Fells. Wainwright says, Bannerdale Crags, to be appreciated fully, should be approached from the pleasant village of Mungrisdale. Only in this direction, eastwards, is revealed the mile-long rim of cliffs that give the fell a name. This escarpment is interrupted by a pronounced spur, the East Ridge, but otherwise falls very steeply to the little side valley of Bannerdale, which is uninhabited, uncultivated, and since the closing of the lead mine, unfrequented, much of it being a swamp. Vouch for that. It's a bit swampy coming up the river. It might not be the true summit, but the view is undeniably better from this cairn all the way back down Bannerdale. Right, I think that one there just across this valley is Bowscale Fell. That was a rather pleasant stroll. Even the climb up to the summit wasn't too strenuous. This is Bowscale Fell, 2,306 feet. This is Wainwright number 9 of book 5. Rather, the shelter just there is 2,306 feet. I have to film this piece to camera from this slightly lower cairn because, as you can see, the summit is occupied by people just generally having a chat and getting in the way. Wainwright says, once upon a time it was fashionable to include a visit to Bowscale Tarn in the itineraries of ladies and gentlemen making a grand tour of the lakes. The town was famous for its 2 undying fish, an ancient tradition revived in a poem by Wordsworth. The setting was wild and romantic, and a good path led up to it. The walk is no longer popular. The story of the 2 immortal fish is almost forgotten, although if it were true, they must still be there. Fashions change. Bowscale is now considered remote, inconvenient, too far away from the greater attractions of central Lakeland. Yet the Victorian travellers were right. Their sense of values was always sound. The setting is wild and romantic and very impressive, and Bowscale Tarn in 1961, as in 1861, is one of the best scenes of its kind in the district. Ah, good. I'm back on a proper path. Getting away for a moment because it looked like the route I'd plotted was taking me straight through the middle of a swamp. It's the right way though, and it's the way that takes me to Mungrisdale Common. It's my next target, which I think is that low-lying plain across that valley there. And from there, it's up to the biggie for today. That is Blencathra, one of the finest summits of all. Doesn't seem that long since I left Bowscale Fell. Oh, already the summit looks a long way away. I like walks like this where you can nip between fells, quick succession along nice easy ridges. Now, Mungrisdale Common so far just seems to be a dreary expanse of open moorland. Not quite sure why Wainwright chose to include it as a separate fell. I guess I'll find out when I get to the summit. Such as it is. this is Wainwright number 10 of the Northern Fells, and one of the dreariest summits I think I've ever been on. This is Mungrisdale Common, 2,068 feet. Wainwright says, Mungrisdale Common's natural attractions are of a type that appeal only to sheep. It is more an upland prairie than a hill. There is little on these extensive grass slopes to provide even a passing interest for an ordinary walker, and nothing at all to encourage a visit. Which begs the question once again, why did he include it as a separate chapter? To make people trudge all the way through all those swamps just to get here. People like me. Right, well, no point lingering here. Onwards to the main business of the day, tackling hordes of people on the way up to Saddleback in the common tongue. Just looking at it from this angle, Blencathra doesn't look like a challenge. It looks like a spectacular ridge walk. It's got this little bit up this crag, and then it's pretty flat all the way to the summit. Now I'm about halfway up this little climb up to the summit ridge of Blencathra, just having a look back at this wonderful panorama. There's some of the fells that I did yesterday late my last walk. Some of the fells still to come. Furthest to the west we've got Skiddaw and Little Man, and then Bowscale coming off the edge of there. These closest to us are Great Calvert and Knot, and then over to the north we've got High Pike, Carrick Fell, and of course Bowscale Fell, where I was earlier today. Made it to the ridge, and what a view in store once you get up here. Judging by all these people hanging around just up here, looks like this might be the actual summit of Blencathra. I was thinking it was the one at the end of the ridge there. Centrepiece of today's walk, Blencathra, 2,847 feet, Wainwright number 11 of the Northern Fells. Obviously it's far too busy to do any filming from the actual summit. It's one of those, like Scafell Pike, like Helvelding, like the Old Man of Coniston, that if you come up on a Saturday afternoon it is guaranteed to be absolutely swarmed with people. However, Blencathra is one of the grandest objects in Lakeland and one of the best known. Seen from the southwest, the popular aspect, the mountain rises steeply and in isolation above the broad green fields of Throkeld, a feature being the great sweeping curve leaping out of the depth to a lofty summit ridge, where the skyline then proceeds in a succession of waves to a sharp peak, before descending again in a graceful curve to a valley pastures far to the east. This is a mountain that compels attention, even from those dull people whose eyes are not habitually lifted to the hills. To artists and photographers it is an obvious subject for their craft. To sightseers passing along the road or railway at its base, between Keswick and Penrith, its influence is magnetic. To the Dales folk it is the eternal background to their lives, there at birth, there at death. But most of all, it is a mountaineer's mountain. So I have been up here once before, and I immediately put it down as one of the best fells in Lakeland that I'd ever been on, and this is why. This view down into Throkeld towards Keswick is absolutely spectacular. Just time for a spot of lunch before I tackle one of these very tricky descents. Right, reluctantly time to head back down, but this really is a special summit indeed. See the view all the way to the north across to the Solway and the hills of Scotland just in a mist over there. And as we come down the ridge, get some more views of Keswick and across to Derwent Water and Battlethwaite. Now we get a beautiful view of Scales Tarn down there in the bottom of the valley, and rising up behind it the infamous Sharp Edge, which living up to its name a lot more from this angle than it was when I saw it from the other angle earlier on today. Scales Tarn looks beautiful actually. Just go for a dip in there, but it's probably freezing. And as I descend down this nice, pleasant, easy ridge, I get a view of my final objective for today's walk, which is Sutherfell? Not quite sure how you actually pronounce it, which is the ridge just in front. Not this one, to the side, which I believe is Bannerdale Crags, where I started. As we descend down from Blencathra, the primary view is this vast sweep of the Eden Plain, stretching all the way out to the Pennines. Sheep. It's the only thing of note. The last half mile or so hasn't been dreary, it's just been thoroughly pleasant, nice easy descent. There's a nice easy ascent coming up. Up on the flat top of Sutherfell now, and there's a misleading cairn up there which would lead you to believe that's the summit, but well, A, it's not even on the highest point of this mound, and B, I don't think it's the actual summit according to the OS. We go over this ridge first. I mean, I thought I'll walk up to the misleading cairn anyway, because someone must have built it here for a reason. Not quite sure what. So I thought it was going to be a spectacular view down into the valley. It's not. There's a reasonable view of Blencathra, but still a puzzle as to why someone spent the time and effort to put a cairn that's not even, it's not on the main path and it's not on the main summit. Right, so this little blemish, which I thought from a distance was a cairn, but it's actually just a rock outcrop in the path, apparently marks the summit of Sutherfell, which is Wainwrights number 12 of Book 5, 1,680 feet. This Sutherfell, Wainwright says it's pronounced that way, takes the form of a long ridge extending from Blencathra to the east and curves northwards to its extremity, where there is an abrupt fall of altitude to the fields of Mungrisdale, and no more high ground thereafter until far beyond the broad valley of Eden, the dark wall of the Pennines closes the horizon, Thus, Souter Fell, although of little merit as a climb and of unattractive appearance, occupies an important position as a cornerstone of the Northern Fells, having an extensive view out of proportion to its modest height. An unusual geographical feature is revealed by a study of the map. Although the fell has slopes facing all points of the compass, the whole of its drainage is conducted by a single stream, the Glenderamackin, which encircles its base almost completely like a great moat, with the narrow Mouthwaite Col serving as a drawbridge. See the beautiful outline of Blencathra clearly from here. And there's the vast sweep of the Pennines in the distance. And there's only about half a mile to go back to where I started from. As we descend over the edge of Souter Fell, the Plain of Eden reveals itself in all its magnificence. In the bottom of the valley is the Glenderamackin that I walked along several hours ago. And Mungrisdale opens into view, the old Hall Inn at the foot of the climb. All the cars parked up along the road. It got a bit convoluted there towards the end, that descent, but back on the road into Mungrisdale. It's been a lovely walk today. Well, any walk that goes over the top of Blencathra is by definition a bit special, but more than that, it was textbook example of a classic fell walk for the most part, ignoring the extensive boggy bits in the first half of the walk. Yeah, I mean, so what you like about the other fells was really about one thing only today, and that was Blencathra. So I've been up here before from the Threlkeld side. Coming at it from the northern side, it's a bit special. It really doesn't look like anything at all as you're climbing up it, and then as soon as you hit that top ridge, that view just hits you in the face. It's spectacular. And that's about halfway through now already, this journey through the Northern Fells. As ever, thank you for watching, hope you've enjoyed it, and hope you join me again next time. Until then, bye.